going to be great. It's many of us are looking at our websites and going, "Oh, so who's going to my website? How many people are going there? How do I get more traffic there?" And so on and so forth. And then the question is, well, how do we measure that? How do we know it's working? How do we know what we're trying is actually doing anything? And so a lot of today's sessions will be wrapped right around that. So without further ado, I'm going to once again hand off to Kristen Fredericks, the head of our digital team. She will now take us through just how many people see your site. Kristen, you are muted. Famous words of the pandemic.
I think I got caught on that mute all part. Hold on.
Yes, you're good now.
Thanks. All right. So I am borrowing Louis Eisenberg's website today and Town Central. And as you can see, as Ralston said, Town Central has been updated overnight. We hope you enjoy the new look, but I promise you everything that I'm going to show you today is in the exact same spot that it was before if you've used it. If not, it's in the exact same spot it's always been if you need to find it. If you've been to any of my classes before, you know that we talk about this leaderboard a lot. And we talk about what these different numbers mean, and that certain numbers should go up. Things like new leads, new contacts, people who are recently active, things like that should go up all the time. And certain things should go down, like people without a MarketWatch report, which means they're not receiving this MarketWatch email. These kind of numbers should go down. Today, we're going to look at a couple of things over here. We're going to look at the listing views. We're also going to look at our unique visits. And these are the things that we want to always see go up. We want listing views to go up, and we want unique visits to go up. Every time you visit Town Central, you should be looking at these numbers. If you notice that your unique visits are going down, or you don't have a lot of unique visits, this means that you need to start sharing your website and being able to push people to your website more. We've talked about how to get leads and how to push people to the website in other classes. These are things like sharing really interesting listings on Facebook, sending out emails to your client base, telling them what they can do on your website, setting up more saved searches, moving some of your clients over from the MLS saved searches over to your website saved searches. All of that is going to drive that traffic and, of course, drive those numbers up. The same with listing views. We want these numbers to go up. We want people looking at listings on your website. This is information they find valuable. Google also tracks how long people stay on your website. And the more listings they're viewing, the more they're reading, the more they're kind of digging into the website and getting more and more involved in looking at listings, the longer the time they're spending on your site. And Google loves that because it says, they're finding this site really interesting. So we want to see these listing views go up because it's a really valuable source on your website. But you might want to ask, how many people are actually coming? Well, we do have some website reporting that's available to you. I'm going to go ahead and scroll all the way down. Okay. And I'm all the way to the bottom of our homepage on Town Central. This looks identical for everyone. We're going to look at a couple of things today over in listings, but we're mostly going to focus right here on the website site traffic. So there's 3 reports that are available right now. Site traffic. This is going to show by each of your domains the number of visitors, the number of searches, the listings viewed, and the leads by the date range for all the traffic. You can go back 14 months here. Source tracking. This is a little bit of an advanced feature. We haven't gotten into it in any of our Blitz classes yet, but for those of you who might see something like a marketing source code, if you're ever on another website where it says something like, I'm just going to say ralstonaudain.com/ and you might see like a UTM equals Facebook, and then it gives you the rest of the information. Those are source tracking codes. If you're using them in your marketing, it allows you to see based on the source code where people are coming from. So you can add just a tiny little thing to the end of each one of your URLs from your website. If you want to track people coming from Facebook, or track people coming from a unique email that you've sent out, or track people coming from your Insta or anything else, you can actually put a little source code on there. And then we have something called the website traffic report. The website traffic report shows the details of the visits, the client activity, the views, searches by dates, and you can also see how it compares to some of the other sites in the company. And then your date range dropdown for this, just because it's a slightly more advanced feature, is up to 40 days. So most of us are probably going to use the site traffic report, which is the one I'm going to get into first. Okay. Just going to go ahead and hit site traffic. And it's just going to give me some basic information here. So it has automatically gone back 7 days. Okay, remember, we can go back 14 months here. So if we wanted to go back to last month, we could. If we wanted to go back however many days we could, the whole last of year. And we can ask it to run this report. But before we do, it's going to just give us some basics. So in the last 7 days on Lewis's domain, lewiseisenberg.com, there were 12,000 visitors. He had 6 searches. Number of listings viewed was a little over 6,000. He had 2 hot leads and 2 total leads in this last 7 days. We can view the details of all of this. And again, we can just hit that run report. Now, all of this is these different areas right here. Okay, are all defined here for you. So the visitors would be the number of unique visitors, the number of visitors that did searches, the number of visitors that viewed listings, the activity leads, total activity leads channel generated for this domain, and source code, hot leads, the number of hot leads generated for this domain. Now, the difference between a hot lead and an activity lead means they've actually done something on the website. For example, they might have sent a contact, or they may have signed up for Property Watch or something like that. A hot lead means they've done something really advanced to make them very in the moment. So it might be something like schedule an appointment. Those are the kind of things that we look for in hot leads. And then, of course, the total number of leads. Now, you'll notice that Lewis only has 1 domain in here. We do have agents who use multiple domains. So I'm going to use Lewis as an example. Maybe he wants to add the domain to his website, GhentCondosForSale.com. We'll use that as an example, and he's only going to send it out to just people who own condos in Ghent, and it's going to be on a postcard, and he wants to just see how many people are coming in from that particular domain versus the lewiseisenberg.com domain. If he had a second domain on here, it would actually show the stats for just that individual domain. We do have agents who are using multiple domains. They may have started with a domain, maybe lewiseisenberg.com or lewiseisenbergrealtor.com, and he wanted to shorten it up. So you've left the original one, but maybe you pick something up that focuses on your niche market now that you're in the market or in the industry for a couple of years, or you just decided to change directions or shorten it up a little bit. So you can see what your original domain would be, and then of course what any alternate domains would be. So those would show up on here as well. So if we hit run report on here, okay, it's going to show us our information. We're going to hit view details. Just give it a second to load. And it's going to show us all of our little session IDs here, the activity date, the searches, listings, whether they were a registered client or not. A lot of Lewis's traffic is done because he has so many different landing pages. So we're not going to see a lot of registered clients on here. Those really come from things like driving them back from saved searches that you have set up from the MLS. But you can see that we're seeing a lot of different session IDs here, and whether they've searched and how many listings, of course, they've looked at on here as well. So this is just going to give you that nice summary of what's happening with your website traffic over the last couple of days. I'm going to go back to the dashboard, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom again, and I'm going to go to that website traffic report. Okay. Remember, this is the report that only goes back 40 days. So I'm going to take this one back. Let's go back 30 days. So let's go back a full month. And it's going to give you the option to search by your standard website or a mobile website. So if you do want to see what mobile users are using versus what the standard website users are using, so desktop users, you can actually differentiate between that. For today's purposes, I'm just going to stick with all. And so I'm going to ask it to go back 30 days, and I'm going to hit submit. All right, and now it's going to give me those 30 days, and it's going to break it out by day for me. So here's our agent detail report. So it's going to tell me that yesterday on the 9th, there were 867 total visits, activities, new signups, returns, total number of listing views, the number of his own listings that were viewed, and the number of searches that were performed. So you can see in the last 30 days, you can see that there's things that go up and there's things that go down. I am going to guess that based on this number that he probably either started running another ad or he posted something to Facebook in order to generate a lot of traffic. This might be where that listing that he had was maybe posted as an open house. You'll see these numbers increase for sure as soon as you post something somewhere or you get some kind of action going. But you'll be able to actually measure the results and be able to see what people are looking at. And we're going to get to that report in just a second here. So you can see in the last 30 days, there were 44,468 site visits, which is fantastic. And again, each of these titles here at the top, so the visits, the client activity, the number of listing views, and the searches are all defined down here at the bottom. So site visits, total activity, whether they sent in any forms. Remember I said those are those hot leads, like schedule an appointment, total number of logins, the listing views, my listings viewed, and again, the searches. So this is a great way to keep track of when things are going up and when things are going down based on activity that you've taken. All right, I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And I don't believe Lewis is running any source tracking right now, but I'm going to double check. I'll at least show you what that window looks like. Okay, so there's no source code. There's no source codes being added in here. But if we had a source code for something like Facebook or Insta or from an ad that you were running for how much is my home worth and you wanted to put a source code on that, each one of those individual sources would be shown here. And again, it would show you that exact same information. I did talk to Tim before this. We're going to do a source code class sometime in the future, and that way we can get some advanced features going for you, for those of you who'd like to learn how to put in source codes. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my dashboard, and I'm going to show you those other two.
And Kristen,
yeah.
Even though you'll do the source code class, can you just make sure we explain what a source code is and what it would be good for?
Sure. So say I have a new listing and I've decided that I would like to know, I'm going to send it out to a lot of different things. So maybe I'm going to send my new listing out to my sphere, my big list. I'm also going to send my new listing link out to my clients, my hot list. I'm going to also post it on Facebook. I know that's going to generate a lot of traffic back to my website, and I want to know where these people are coming from. I want to know which one of my sources works the best. So if I wanted to do something like that, for example, maybe I would say, I'm going to add a source code here. So maybe I would say something like new listing. And then I'm going to add a source code. So I want to know where it's coming from. And these are codes that I can make up on my own. So maybe I'm going to make this one up for Facebook first. So I'm going to put my source code will be Facebook, and then I can even put the MLS number, maybe 101-35642. Okay. I'm going to copy that because I will never remember that. And I'm going to hit create. Okay. Anytime that I would like to know where my sources are coming from, I can add that little code to the end of anything that I am sending out. And it's when they come back to the website, and once they click, it's going to show me exactly where they've come from based on that code. So I'm sure you've seen that when you did when you visited other websites before, where they might have something again in the URL where it says UTM equals. UTM is just a fancy thing for source code. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be asking for is that source code for where things come from. That way it records it on here. And we'll show you in that advanced class again how to attach that source code to each one of those URLs that you would like to send out. And you can make as many source codes as you want. We run source codes for the company all the time. We run thousands and thousands and thousands of ads a month. They are going everywhere. We have lots of different ways to send those out, and we source code everything. We know where people are coming from down to their very, very last click. In fact, we know if people are using multiple sources to come back to our website. And that's how we track things with source codes, and that's how we're able to, even as a company, budget our money, because we know what works best for us and what's getting the most traffic and what's generating us the most business in the long run. So source codes can be really, really helpful in the long run. Does that help?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. All right, let me go back to my dashboard real quick. A couple of other little reports that you can see here. You may want to look at the types of listings that are viewed on your website. So instead of going over here to the website area, I've gone over here to the listings under my reports, and I'm going to take a look at listings viewed. Give it a second to load. So this is just going to give us a snapshot of everything that's been viewed on the website and when, as far as listings are concerned. We've used this for agents to determine best places for them to market, be able to really narrow down where people and what people are looking at on their website when they're looking to do maybe some niche marketing. Maybe they're looking to send out a big mailer. They're looking to get into a new area. They're trying to see where people are looking and what people are looking for on their website. This is a great way to narrow that down. So we can see.
Can you show us where to find listings viewed again?
Sure. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Again, we're just scrolling all the way to the bottom. Okay. And instead of being over here on this website area, I'm over here on listings. Hopefully you can all see that on the bottom there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And we have two versions here. Right now we're looking at listings viewed, which is the second one down. So this is going to show listings viewed from everybody. So it's going to show their visitor session ID, which you don't really need. It's going to show whether they're a registered client or an unregistered client. So if it is a registered client and it has a name attached to it, it's going to show that in this list. So if they're an unregistered client, it means they're not logged into the website, or they've come to the website for the first time and they're not logged into Property Watch. Again, for agents who are using this to drive traffic from their actual clients for looking at different listings and things like that, you'll see a lot more of the registered clients versus something that's casting a wide net like Lewis's website is, where you're going to see more of the unregistered clients. So we can actually see what they've been looking at. So in this case, we can see that they are, well, they're looking all over, but we can start to narrow down some price ranges here, which is something I noticed when I was starting to look at this. And it also shows some great trends on what people are looking for. So I'm looking at this here, and if you'll notice that, I mean, there's a few that are really high, but man, there's a lot between that, you know, that 150 and 4 mark seems to be the sweet spot, or maybe that 150 to 5 mark. I can use this information and know that if I can create some landing pages, maybe based on price range, maybe I need to do some advertising, maybe some Facebook advertising into some of these areas. Maybe I need to look at that every door delivery that we've launched with Express Docs, and maybe do some postcard mailings or things like that. Maybe I need to look in Remine and start looking at some of these neighborhoods where some of these price ranges are, and look for people who want to sell, because obviously people are looking for those price ranges right now. This is just some good intel that you can see, and it's great when you have registered clients on here as well, just because you can kind of get an overview of the area that they're looking for. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And there weren't many in the last 7 days, but those of you who, again, are using the Property Watch feature, you have another report here called Listings Viewed by Clients. So these are listings viewed by people who are clients and registered on your website. And it's going to be able to show, again, this is going to be mostly unregistered client just because of the nature of this website. But for those of you who are working a lot with your Property Watch clients, you'll be able to see their names in here, and then the number of listings that they viewed, and of course, when. I'm going to go back to my dashboard here. So a lot of this information that I've just showed you does correspond to things up here. If I click on the 43,000 unique visits, it's going to take me to that website traffic report, and it's going to start to show me where that number, that 43,000, actually came from. And it's going to, of course, come from that fairly, well, it's now 44,000. And it's going to come from the number of people who have looked at the website. This is really good for you to be able to know when you need to increase the number of people who are coming. And we really encourage people to do that. If you're seeing these numbers go down, if you don't have numbers like this, if you would like to increase these numbers, it means that you need to promote your website more, share it more, put it out on LinkedIn with some great market stats, put it out on Facebook, get it hooked to your Insta, send out e-cards, encourage your clients to send things out. Make sure that you have everybody you can signed up for Property Watch. All of this is going to drive those visits back. to your website, and you're going to see these numbers go up. These is definitely something that you want to keep track of as far as the number of visitors that are coming to your site. So those are the tools that we have available for you to show where your website traffic is coming from and how many people are actually looking at it. That's already built into the system. I'm happy to take any questions from you at this time.
Kristen, I believe that Ashley Swindell has a question. Ashley, if you want to unmute, go ahead and share your question.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. I was wondering two things. When you were mentioning about the source codes, do you have to have a unique URL for each source code? So if you're trying to do a source code for Facebook and one for LinkedIn, do you have to have a unique URL for each one?
You just have to have a unique source code. So on the source code, like the one that I made it for an individual listing. But if I wanted to make a source code, I'm going to have to remember to go back and delete all these.
But I mean,
if I want to make a source code for anything that's just coming, if I know I'm sharing a particular page onto Facebook, or if I'm just sharing my main page. So if you're sharing AshleySwindell.com, you may just have something, you know, so it's coming from Facebook, and we're just going to put the source code as FB.